party type of event in Ghost Town, complete with spooky characters, live entertainment, and thrilling frights for 2 chilling nights. Halloween Haunt was born and would go on to forge a proud legacy, becoming an annual tradition for multiple generations of Knott's fans. Every theme park Halloween event, every street monster or slider can trace their roots back to where it all began. 50 years ago, Knott's Scary Farm in Buena Park, California. Please, welcome to the stage, Knott's Scary Farm historian and themed entertainment writer and director, Ted Doherty.
Hello. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here today. Oh my gosh. Well, my name is Ted Doherty, and I'm a writer, producer, and director for large-scale Halloween theme park attractions and events, and that allows me to work with companies like Knott's Scary Farm, especially this season, which we'll get into later. But my roots are at Knott's Scary Farm. I worked there several years as one of the slider monsters in the Ghost Town Scare Zone. Yes! I love every single second of it, but nowadays I write and direct and help create the nightmares behind these different attractions. But I'm also a historian. I wrote the book on the history of Knott's Scary Farm that was released back in 2012 in conjunction with the 40th anniversary. So I know a thing or two about this event. It's very near and dear to my heart, which is why it's such a huge honor for me to be here with you to help, yes, to help kick things off for the gold 50th anniversary of Knott's Scary Farm. Yes. So today we're going to celebrate some of the past highlights of Knott's Scary Farm, kind of show how we got to where we are today and share some fun stories. And yes, we're going to share some tidbits as to what folks might expect to experience this season. But no full spoilers, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But don't worry, we've got plenty of surprises to share with you today to get you even more excited about the upcoming season. Now, obviously, we're all fellow fans here of Knott's Scary Farm, but perhaps you might not be as familiar as to what the event was like before you started going, unless you've been attending the entire time. Anybody go to year 1? 1, 2 people. All right, awesome. Well, for the rest of us, you might be a little curious as to what the event was like before you started going. So to kick things off today, we're going to give a mini, very brief crash course on the history of Knott's Scary Farm. Like I said, I wrote a whole book about this thing, so I'm not going to sit up here and ramble on forever about it. So this is going to be rapid fire to help make sure we're all up to speed and on the same page, help you understand and appreciate even more the wonderful surprises Knott's Scary Farm has in store. So brace yourselves, this is going to go by fast. So I'm going to get situated here. So Knott's Scary Farm did debut back in 1973. So if you didn't know, Knott's Scary Farm is indeed the longest running Halloween themed event at any theme park in the entire world. All others trace their roots back to Knott. Now, throughout the years, a lot of people have asked me, how did the event get this popular? How did it begin? And I mean, there's just so many factors that go into all of that stuff, but I usually narrow down as to how Knott's Scary Farm got started. I narrow it down to one person. That person was an actor named Larry Vincent, who portrayed a character named Seymour, Master of the Macabre. Yes, also known as Sinister Seymour, and he was the first host of Knott's Halloween Haunt. That was the original name of the event. We now know it, of course, as Knott's Scary Farm. But from the very beginning, the park dove right into the concept of a large-scale Halloween party. All the employees participated. The log ride was turned into Satan's Sawmill, and the Calico Mine Ride was turned into the Haunted Mine. And those were like the main scare attractions in the early days of Knott's Scary Farm, packed with live actors terrorizing everybody. But then, of course, there was also the now defunct attraction named the Haunted Shack. Yes, yeah, we love the Haunted Shack. For those of you who don't know, that was an all-year-round walk-through attraction at Knott's Berry Farm, kind of like a mystery house, but they had live actors in the early days inside the haunted shack for the haunt. And then, of course, the first scare zone monsters on the planet were the Ghost Town Street Monsters. Yes. They were the Wild West stunt show personnel dressed as monsters to roam the streets and engage the guests. And, well, you know, in addition to that, they had these sideshows that lined the streets of Ghost Town, Fiesta Village, and the Roaring Twenties, which is where the boardwalk is nowadays. And these were like carnival sideshows and illusions, and they repurposed things like the stunt show and the Medicine Man show, all kinds of live entertainment like bands and dancing and magicians. I mean, the event was covered with live entertainment. Every single store and employee participated and dressed up, from food services to merchandise to ticketing, ride operators, ushers, on and on and on. And within the buildings of Ghost Town, well, they were turned into the startling peekins with eerie lighting and sound effects and masks on the mannequins. And outside those buildings, well, the park decor was just off the hook. Ghost Town was shrouded with scare cloth, more eerie lighting and fog. And then, Knott's went all in. And by 1977, they introduced the first maze built solely for Knott's Scary Farm, named the 10 Chilling Chambers. The Chilling Chambers for short. And by the way, that was designed by a person named Rick Campbell, who was the same person who designed the entire Roaring Twenties area of Knott's Berry Farm. So this is a big production. And that maze set a new standard for the event, because every single Knott's Scary Farm maze that came after can trace its roots back to the Chilling Chambers. And after Seymour hosted the first two haunts, other hosts got involved, people like Wolfman Jack, Weird Al Yankovic, and the longest running host in Knott's Scary Farm's history, Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. Yes, we love Elvira. Well, by the 1980s, the event grew with more and more monsters, things like sliders in the Ghost Town Scare Zone. And the monster looks were becoming more advanced and identifiable as Knott's Scary Farm monsters. And by the late 1980s, the event grew with more and more mazes to accommodate the massive swarms of crowds going to Knott's Scary Farm. These mazes had more identity with their names and early forms of storytelling, which paved the way to the powerhouse mazes of the 1990s. Classics like Lair of the Vampire, Dominion of the Dead, Nightmares, The Underground. Yes, classic mazes that really kind of established the high quality in maze design that we see today at the event. And in time, other scare zones were added aside from Ghost Town, like the Gauntlet, the Swamp, Carnival, Silver Bullet Mine Town, others like Necropolis. Now, all of a sudden, the entire event was covering the park to make way for groundbreaking mazes like the Carnival of Carnivorous Clowns in 3D, to classics like the Asylum, 13 Acts Murder Manor, Doll Factory, Trick or Treat, on and on and on. So many of these amazing mazes that really kind of raised the production value of these different attractions. And soon, interactivity was added with attractions like Trapped and the Skeleton Key Rooms. Yes. And that led to other attractions like Infected and Bloodline, where the guests become active participants within these different attractions. And throughout the years, well, the show productions grew from things like The Hanging all the way to Puppet Up, from Zamora, yes, to the Misfit of Magic, Ed Alonso. And then, of course, theatricality was added to attractions like Paranormal Incorporated, The Hollow, Forsaken Lake, Origins, The Grimoire. And that, my dear friends, in a nutshell, brings us up to date. Yay! I made it. Thank you. Obviously, I'm just scratching the surface. There's thousands and thousands of factors that go into making Knott's Scary Farm what it is today. But that's a general summary. So now that we're all on the same page, let's bring out our first guest, who's no stranger to Knott's Scary Farm. Well, geez, he wrote and directed at least 20 seasons of the longest running show in Knott's Scary Farm's history, The Hanging. He's the brainchild behind the groundbreaking, revolutionary, and award-winning Ghost Town Alive. He's the former vice president of entertainment at Knott's Berry Farm and is currently the corporate director of creative development and experience design for Cedar Fair, the parent company of Knott's Berry Farm. Please welcome the amazing Ken Parks.
It is awesome to be back here at Midsummer Scream, and so thank you to Midsummer Scream for having us back, and that was incredible. Thank you for doing that.
Thank you.
The other thing that you need to know about all of that history is that thousands upon thousands of people over the 50 years have made this event what it is. I just wonder if there's anyone here today who has been a part of the event in some part. Just shout out. Let's hear you. All started as fans, right? We all were fans, and we luckily got an opportunity to play in the sandbox. So
Absolutely. And speaking kind of that, I think all of us have our own story on how we were first introduced to Knott's Scary Farm and how we first discovered it. I thought it would be kind of interesting to hear from like the former vice president of entertainment of Knott's Berry Farm and what your first experience at Knott's Scary Farm was like. I think we've talked about it in the past. Your first year, 1986?
yeah, I was working in a magic shop in Fresno, California, and heard a radio ad for the greatest and largest Halloween party ever to be held at Knott's Berry Farm. And I was like, I gotta go check that out. So I made the 5-hour drive down to Buena Park. I just couldn't believe it. Anywhere I looked, there was something going on. This was at the time when the employees, everybody dressed up. I experienced the witch hanging, which was, this kind of organic, even though it was listed in the program as midnight, it was still it was organic, and it happened around you. And I had one of the biggest scares that I've ever had at Scary Farm happen that night. I didn't want to leave. And I knew I'd have to make the 5-hour drive back, but here it is, 2 o'clock in the morning, and I wind up over by Wilderness Dance Hall, and there's just so much fog, and I'm by myself, and I just hear this sound of metal just scraping, and I think to myself, oh wow, and you don't know what, I didn't know what to expect. I was just so overwhelmed by the whole thing. I'd never experienced anything like this before. And I thought, how did they do this? They've created this scare just for me, right? And it just metal just scraping, and it's coming towards me, and I'm just terrified. And then the fog sort of lifts, and I can see Freddy Krueger in the fog, right? And I'm in an alley, and Freddy Krueger is coming near me, and there's this weird scraping. Anyway, since everybody dressed up, it was a street sweeper who was dressed as Freddy Krueger. And it was his dustpan hitting and I was sold, I was in. That was it. Lifelong fan.
I love it. Thank you for sharing that. At the top of all of this, I was kind of mentioning all the early live entertainment throughout the years at Knott's Scary Farm. In your opinion, can you talk a little bit about the importance of live entertainment at an event like Knott's Scary Farm?
Well, my first year going to it, and then of course I came back until I was lucky enough to actually be cast in a show at the Birdcage Theater. But I think what it does is that you get terrified, and in '86 all of the whole park was really, the mazes and everything they were in the park, right? So you'd mentioned the Haunted Shack, that was a maze, and even the old gasoline alley cars, were a maze. And so it was all in the park, and then, so it was really, felt like it was just anywhere you looked, it was happening around you. And the shows, were really fun and kind of broke up sort of the tension. There were a lot of really terrific shows over the years. And the thing about the shows and really the mazes, really Knott's Scary Farm, and just if you look at it in general, has never been afraid to try something, right? And if it hits, it's great. And what happens is the fans and all of us as fans, we sort of together have organically made the event, right? No one sort of told us, hey, this is what you should like. We kind of found it, and then it became, that's how the Green Witch sort of came to be, and with the prom, right? It wasn't that wasn't that somebody told you you should like it. We found it together, right? And all of those things, the bride and yeah, you know, Otis, all of those kids, right? And yeah, that's Otis now. And anyway, you know, so I think that we've had just so many terrific shows over the years, and not shows that were okay to kind of try something new. You know, Jeff Tucker did a show one year called Tommy Tune. The show was called A Complete Waste of Your Time. And it was a show where, you know, we only did it 1 year, but it was a show where he was a guy who couldn't sing, and so it was a musical, and the whole point was that the audience should hate it. And guess what? They did. They did. And that's why we've never done it again. But we were, well, let's try it, right?
Absolutely, I love that. Now, speaking of these various different shows and trying different things, we mentioned your involvement with the hanging throughout the years. Yes. It's a big deal. You know, the hanging debuted in 1976 as the Dead Man's Hanging and returned in 1977. They were hanging a cowboy who was guilty of a bunch of crimes in Calico. Then the show went away a couple of years and it came back in 1980 as the Witch Hanging. Went that way for a handful of years through the late 80s, and then turned into the pop culture kind of comedy stunt show format that went all the way through 2019. Can you talk a little bit about sort of your involvement with the hanging throughout the years and what that was like?
Yeah, I inherited the pop culture stunt aspect of it. Tom Clufted, who, you know, was with the park as a designer, and he really kind of made it what it was. And, you know, that's a show that you look at the influence of Knott's Scary Farm in the industry, and when you say, hey, it wouldn't have happened without Knott's Scary Farm, there's absolute truth in that. I'm sure that somebody would have had the idea of, why, we should do a Halloween overlay of our park. But Knott's did it first, and you just find the influence. So, you know, there would be no Bill and Ted without the hanging, right? Or any of those things that then kind of came after. And so I inherited the show in 2000, I think it was 2000. And then, you know, what would happen in 2000, you would see somebody and you would say, well, I worked on the hanging, and they would say, oh yeah, it wasn't very good. Yeah, the years before were really good. Those were the years. And then by the time I got to like 2016, people would say, you know, they're not very good, but the guy that used to do it was really good. And it was silly. So it's never been any good, right? Except for the years when you were in high school and it was, you know, it was awesome. But just another thing, where so many people over the years have just worked on it, and it just has become such a part of Scary Farm. And in 2019, we put this tombstone up that said R.I.P. and we didn't really know that was the case. And then the pandemic hit, and so, but who knows?
Who knows? Who knows? But,
well, that sounds like a good idea.
It does sound like a good idea. Hey, switching gears real quick, I just put this slide up here, that this is a fun slide that's a behind-the-scenes slide of Ken Parks directing The Hanging way back in 2004 while we were filming Season of Screams, a documentary on Knott's Scary Farm. Ken, what do we see in here?
We see the effects of pie. It's casual dress day at the hanging, apparently. Kind of come wear your shorts and your fake Birkenstocks and stop by. This is, you know, we're just in the middle. It was always, you know, hot when we were directing the show out in the square, and in the center there are a couple of the two guys that played Freddy. There were several people who played Freddy over the years, and Freddy Krueger was such a part of the show at one point. And so you've got Rich Warren there at the bottom, and then John Breeden, who is now Rich is still in the stunt industry and in the film industry, and John is a Long Beach fireman, and so doing different kind of stunts, but we're glad he's doing that. And then, you know, some goon they invited along, so.
I love it. It's fun. Hey, real quick.
Oh, really quick. Go back to the really. Do you mind? There also Casey
right.
Hendershot. Sorry, can you do it? So right down in the lower, it's my lower left. I don't know what it is for you, but that big guy, that's Casey Hendershot. He was in the show for many years, and he, if you saw Westworld, he's the guy that kept bumping into the hero every time he got off the train. That's that guy.
Oh,
That's
fun.
that. I've impressed only me.
Okay. Let me get this here. So we talked a little bit about at the top of this whole thing about like more immersion, interactivity. In your opinion, and kind of, especially the last decade or so at Not Scary Farm, sort of what's the importance of enhanced storytelling with interactivity and immersion for these different attractions at Not Scary Farm?
Yeah, I think we all want to be a part of it. For me, I've always been chasing the same experience that I had in 1986, of just that the park is the experience and the park is, as a whole, the attraction, and that you just, you really want to be in these stories and you want to feel that you've been transported somewhere. And this goes back to, what I was talking about, where we're just let's try it and see what happens. One of the things, there have been so many just great immersive attractions, from Trapped, there was we did Skeleton Key rooms, and then we kind of did them separately. Yeah, and there was one called Prey that had a lantern that you'd go in, and the lantern would kind of, cut out right when you didn't want it to, and then that got us to Trick or Treat Lights Out, so we've done all kinds of things over there. One of the things that we did not too long ago was, and you were a big part of this, was we thought, boy, it would be great to create sort of a living land or unliving land, whatever you want to call it, where everything's connected, where the maze story is connected to the scare zone is connected to the show. And so in 2019, we did that with Origins, and we did that with, and so we did that with Ghost Town, and then the Hanging that year also was a part of that story, so it all kind of connected. But you can see it in Goring 20s, right? There are these moments that just kind of happen. Forsaken Lake has this processional that it just happens, right? It's not in a program, it doesn't tell you, just so that if you happen to be in the right spot at the right time, you have that same feeling that I got of Freddy Krueger with the dustpan, right? It's just happening around you. And so, we're always looking at different things. This year we have some technology, some RFID technology. Somebody's going to tell you more about this in a minute. But, we've got a character that has been around for a couple of years called the Conductor. And so, and that character is in, John Cook kind of said, hey, we've got that train, we should do something with the train. And we looked at, can we do a ride? And we realized we really couldn't do that, but what we could do is use it as a prop. So we put it out, and he was like, we should, have the train out. And I said, oh, what if there's this conductor that is in the front? And then we got, this actor, Fred, who was just terrific, right? Just amazing. And so, he's just kind of become this character that is just another part of the experience. And so we always treat, the conductor like almost like he's the ferryman in the river Styx, right? He's got the lantern, and that's the thing that allows us to see all of the different terrifying worlds that we go into. And so anyway, this year we're going to try some RFD technology with his lantern. And so you'll be able to take the lantern around the park, and there are over 100 interactions that will happen around the park. It will do things in mazes. It will light up in scare zones. We're working on something that's pretty huge, and it's really Gus Kruger, if you know Gus, who's awesome. And so he's been working on it with Scott Erickson, who is a technical genius, and so they're working on this together to bring that to you. The one thing I had asked, and it's not going to happen, so I'm going to tell you about a thing that I really wanted to happen for all of us, is I wanted you to get the lantern, and then 6 months later, after you took it home, it would just start screaming in your house. And I just wanted that so bad for all of us. We're gonna try. But just imagine, we give you this thing, we don't tell you about it, and then it just starts screaming. And the question was, could you make it scream at the halfway point to Halloween, right? That just all of a sudden, and just the internet would just go wild with people going, this thing, I can't shut it off! This switchboards at Knott's would be just on fire. So anyway, it's not going to do that, but it's going to do some really cool stuff, and I think Carl's going to tell you about it. So.
Yes, very exciting. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
What are you going to scream?
Awesome. Yeah?
Hey, Ken.
Yes, sir. Who is that guy, by the way?
By that way, that was Carl. We're going to talk to Carl a little bit later on. But Ken, you no longer just oversee things like Knott's Berry Farm. You're overseeing a lot of different locations now. What is it? What's the process in the idea of taking the concept of a haunt, like at Knott's Scary Farm, and kind of spreading that idea to different locations?
Well, Knott's is certainly unique in Cedar Fair, right? And it's really unique everywhere in the industry, but it's really unique to us as a company because it's really the most terrifying, scary event that we do. But we have we have 13 parks and some lots of water parks, and so 17 places for you to go and hang out and have fun. And they all have their own events. They've kind of taken on the Halloween haunt, and so Knott's. We really wanted Knott's to be separate from that, and that's why we started going with the name Knott's Scary Farm. But it's a wide variety. Some of the events are daytime events for families that then at 6 o'clock turn into nighttime scary events with mazes. But all of it would not exist without Knott's Scary Farm. And so in my role, the nice thing is I get to work with all of the different parks. I'm really more connected to the development and creation of lands and attractions and rides, but events on occasion as well. So.
I love it. We do have another little kind of announcement that we would like to make. Ken, do you want to make it?
I do. I didn't want you to have to do it because then it would seem like,
okay.
So I thought, so one of the things is for the 40th, we had a haunt museum, and you you had a book that was out, and you would sign the book, and so I'm here to say that that's going to happen again, and so there'll be more coming up in the panel, but there is now a 50th year edition of the history of Knott's Scary Farm, written by yours truly, with a foreword by Neil Patrick Harris. And so the book takes us from the 40th and on, and I know you've interviewed a lot of great folks, and so I didn't want you to have to plug your own book, but I am so excited, I can't wait to get a copy of it. And we've used your book, I think it should be required reading if you join our company. And so thank you anyway for all the hard work on that, and I can't wait.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you. Real quick, the original title of the book was Knott's Halloween Haunt, A Picture History, and so, but the event is no longer referred to as Halloween Haunt, so the new book title is The History of Knott's Scary Farm. So it's a revised, updated second edition. All the bells and whistles from the first edition are all there, and we've just added on to it. We're very excited about it. Our friends at Knott's Berry Farm Merchandise have asked me to let you all know that I will be at Knott's Scary Farm for several nights this season doing book signings, so swing by and introduce yourself and say hello. And they also wanted me to let you know that it's a limited edition and will only be for sale exclusively at Knott's Berry Farm and the online marketplace at knotts.com. So wanted to get all that out of the way. So thank you. Let's bring out our next guest. And I've always kind of described this person as almost kind of like the rock star of the haunt industry. I can certainly say that I feel he's one of the great maze designers in the history of Knott's Scary Farm. Any fans of Paranormal Incorporated? How about Special Ops Infected? How about The Depths or Dark Ride? Well, we all worked with this person on a maze named Origins, The Curse of Calico. How about Origins? Well, let's bring out our next guest, industry creative director and designer, Mr. John Cook.
Did we plug Ted's book?
Yes.
Okay.
John, we're here. Hey, real quick, you want to just at least briefly let people know like how we're here and why we're involved and all that good stuff with Not Scary Farm for the 50th anniversary?
We're back. Now, we're very, very honored. I know everybody said it, but we are here first as fans of Not Scary Farm. We live and breathe Not Scary Farm, so we are super honored to be invited back to help participate with the programming and some attractions for Not Scary Farm this year.
Yes, and I think a lot of folks probably are very familiar with your design work, but they may not really know about the fact that you started as a monster the way I did way back when. You want to talk a little bit about your years as a monster at Not Scary Farm?
I'm going to tell a quick story real quick of how this came to be. So I was a fan of Not Scary Farm. I had gone a few years, and I thought, okay, this would be fun. In my past life, I spent some time as a touring musician. So I had a little bit of a break. I'm like, okay, let's go work Not Scary Farm, that'll be fun. I walked into the employment office, did a little audition, and I was turned away. But I did not quit. I went in and I got a job as a carpenter. First thing I put on my nice new uniform, walked right back into the employment office and said, I was sent here to get a maze position, please. And I got my first maze position in Hatchet High back in 2005.
I love it. And then you were a street monster as well.
Went into Carnival as a chainsaw clown. Got the bug for sliding. So I worked as a slider in Carnival as well as Necropolis out in Camp Snoopy. And finally, I went into Ghost Town as the Ghost Town prisoner, which I then retired.
Awesome. Well, after being a monster for a while, you did wind up in the prop department. Can you talk a little bit about sort of what that entails, working for props for Not Scary Farm?
Yeah, so because I decided to go get the job as a carpenter, I then had to stick it out as a carpenter for that year. But I truly, that's where I really fell in love with haunting. I really enjoyed the production, the magic of everybody coming together, working really hard, and popping this event up, which seems to be very, very fast and very, very long summer at the same time. But so I did a couple years as a carpenter. I got into the props department. That's where I kind of got to learn a lot more about the craft of kind of design and how you use different layers to create these immersive sets, and really, really enjoyed that. So I worked a couple years in props.
I love it. And then now thinking about the different mazes that you've created for Not Scary Farm, can you talk a little bit about what you would consider your approach is when it comes to enhancing immersion for the different mazes?
So I think, speaking of this 50th celebration, that's 50 years of people working hard, coming up with creative ideas, innovating. So we had a really great foundation to then take and run, and that's kind of been my approach, I guess. Always keep the history in mind, the things that are tried and true that we all love as Not Scary Farm fans, the rich storytelling, the original stories, and then building on top of that and creating these really, really awesome immersive worlds. I think that's where it always starts with us when we're sitting down to work on stuff, is an interesting narrative and a compelling space that I, as a fan, would like to walk through. And then from there, we kind of pump it up with different technologies and always trying to push those boundaries.
Yeah, and that kind of leads to something we wanted to briefly mention, something that we wanted to share with all of you folks, something that we've kind of been working on for a while, all of us here, and it's something that we're very proud of. And we've said it now, but hopefully you understand that, first and foremost, we are fans of this event. We care about it, we love it, and this thing that we've been working on is something us as fans, we would want to see at the Not Scary Farm 50th anniversary. So we're happy to announce that we are creating and will be presenting a Not Scary Farm 50th anniversary Legacy Store and Museum. Yes. This is not just going to be taking a souvenir off of a shelf. This is a fully immersive retail experience. Just so you can kind of get an idea of the scope of this, this is going to be located in the Emporium over at the California Marketplace, just outside the main entrance of Knott's Berry Farm. And during the day, that's how you'll be able to go inside the store, so you don't have to be inside the park during the day to visit the store. However, at nighttime during Knott's Scary Farm hours, the only access will be from inside the park through a rear entrance that we'll talk a little bit about it. So you want to walk them through some of what we're going to be doing.
So we approached this experience. Ken brought us in to help out with this experience, and we really truly approached it like we would do one of our maze attractions. So it's a really deep dive into scenic production. It's very high quality sets, a lot of scenic lighting, everything to really create this immersive experience. And as we're gonna see here, we're gonna take a couple nods from our old favorites. You know, we had a thing in production when I was working, especially speaking of when I was in props. We'd always take these pictures on the pumpkin stairs. It was like a really cool photo op. So we said, let's turn that into a photo op for the guests to be able to come and do as well. So as you journey through this experience, you're going to visit many different old maze influences as well as scare zones. But there's also going to be lots of awesome, fun photo ops throughout it as well.
And here we're looking at a cemetery portion, and again, more nods to various themes of Knott's Scary Farm's past throughout all of it.
Yeah, like with our maze approaches, I always like to think of them as an adventure that you're going through, so that's what we did here as well. As you're going through the store, it could be a non-linear experience to where you can venture off into different elements.
And here's kind of the focal point, or what we're calling the rotunda, the focal point of the store.
Yeah, this is the heart. This is the heart of the entire space. This is kind of a theme that you'll kind of see throughout the event this year. As they make future announcements, you're going to see this kind of theme reoccurring, and it's something that we wanted to do, as Ken was speaking to earlier. This connectivity through the entire event, and this is kind of the central hub of that, where everything is going to be built off of.
Yes, we're very, very excited about it. Thank you. There's a lot more to it, including lantern pieces possibly, and but we didn't want to spoil everything. And by the way, that's where the book signings are going to be taking place, so you can come swing by and get it all at once. So anyways, we have to move on because we're running out of time and we still have a lot to cover. So let's bring out our next guest, who's got a long history with Knott's Berry Farm, Knott's Scary Farm. If you're a fan of Knott's Scary Farm, you're a fan of this person's work, especially if you love the beautiful scare cloth that drapes the buildings of Ghost Town and all of the wonderful decorations throughout the rest of the not just the event, but of Knott's Berry Farm in general. So this person's been around the event for a long time. Let's please welcome Park Decor Manager of Knott's Berry Farm, Mr. Jeff Shattuck. Hi, Jeff.
Hello.
Jeff, you and I have talked about it in the past when you first started going to Knott's Scary Farm. We're sharing fun memories and stuff about our beginnings. I think you probably started going to Knott's Scary Farm at an earlier age than the rest of us. Can you talk a little bit about sort of your earlier memories going to Scary Farm with your family and stuff?
Yeah, my mom was a huge horror fan, and she took me at a very young age. And I remember that there wasn't a lot, but it was still a lot of fun. And my mom liked to just sit in the fog and watch the monsters scare everybody. And she also liked the mazes. So my very first scare at Scary Farm was actually from a peek as a young kid. There's when they had actors inside. And then that went away, but that monster popped out, put his face right up against mine because it was pushed against the metal grating of Wingley's laundry and scared the heck out of me.
I love it. Now, obviously, that had an impact on your future work. Can you talk a little bit about sort of your overall philosophy and approach to the park decor for Knott's Scary Farm?
So, the very first year I ever started working at Knott's was '87. I worked in the picture gallery and I took photos And I remember every night of Scary Farm, I would watch the witch hang. And I would always beg them to let me go out and watch the witch hang. Every show. So my last night, unfortunately, was Halloween. Several years later, I came back, and I came back as a tech. And in the earlier years, when I first started working there, there was only 2 areas that were really decorated. The Camp Snoopy area and Ghost Town. That was it. There were monsters, but there wasn't a lot of decor. The restaurants were done because the employees got to decorate. So, moving forward, in 96, 97, I took over Park Decor. And I was like, tasked, make it more, make it more, make it more. So over the years, I've kind of developed my own narrative because as far as the Park Decor goes, there wasn't one. It was just kind of do something fun, kind of match the scare zone. So that's when I started getting into it. I'm gonna match the scare zone. What are they doing? How do I dive into it deeper and deeper? So the last several years, my concept is when you enter the park, it's the death of the park. That's why it's all draped in funeral bunting and all over the park, and it's all the purple and black, and then you have the giant skeletons as you come in, and that's an interesting thing. There never used to be a really big entrance statement. On and off they did over the years, and I went to my management and said, I want to do this statement. Well, what's it going to look like? I don't know yet. I saw these 3 giant skeletons that I want to buy. They're like, okay, well, what's it going to look like? I have no idea. Let me work it out. Bought the skeletons, and that is the display that we currently have at the main gate. But for 50th, this is what you're going to see.
How about that? Incredible. I love it.
I'm glad.
Yes.
I'm hoping we pull it off.
And not only, we talked a little bit about these lanterns.
Yes.
I think some of the park decor is going to incorporate some of the lantern use as well.
Yeah, so I heard about these lanterns, and I'm like, what are these lanterns? I keep hearing about these lanterns. So I'm like, I've got some new technical people on my team that are amazing, and they said, let's do this thing with a spider. And I'm like, all right, what do you want to do? So next thing I know, we've built this entire, we're calling it a swamp spider. It's interactive, and it also is interactive with the lanterns. And Park Decor has now developed about 5 other items and areas that will be interactive with the lantern.
Great. Look at good job.
It should be fun.
Jeff. Go ahead.
One more little tidbit.
Go for it.
Look around Ghost Town while you're out there this year.
Ooh.
You might see something that you haven't seen in a very long time.
Ooh. Keep your eyes peeled, people. Wow, exciting. Okay, listen, we have to keep moving forward. And so listen, our next guest, well, we just got a glimpse of him earlier. He's awesome, we love him. I'm a collector of Not Scary Farm merchandise. I'm guessing some of you are. Who's excited for some merchandise for Not Scary Farm? Yes, but the person behind that is our next guest, Carl Bush from Knott's Berry Farm Merchandise.
Right now.
Security.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jeff. Jeff and I have a very strange relationship. I can't stand him and he can't stand me. It's a perfect relation.
But we work well together.
We do, and that's the thing. That's the beauty of Knott's Berry Farm, and I could talk about this for about 4 minutes, right?
You have that, and here's your clicker, go for it. You've
Okay.
got it.
Okay, so I'm Carl Bush. I'm the merchandise manager at Knott's Berry Farm. Right down there is Maria. Her and I do all the product development for Knott's Berry. Give it to Maria! Maria's that poor woman working with me. I'm loud. I'm a pain in the ass, and thank God I work for Knott's. Anyway, so what in the hell do I do with this? Okay, there we go. Okay, that's it. Now I can see it. Oh, look at this, ladies and gentlemen. You know we love purple. You know we love green. So you know we love this. I am giving you not one, not two, 21 new shirts this year. Come on! If I'm not talking loud enough, I can talk louder. Oh, come on! You know you want it. You know it. Okay, we are so into gargoyles this year, you wouldn't believe it. Everything that we do, all joking aside, I have to reference something. We saw what he did with that broken 50. We turned it into a thing. I just can't make stuff up. We use reference here at Knott's Berry Farm. Oh, Carnival! Oh, yes, yes. Look at that, I did too. Anyway, and then of course we always do a Ouija board. We love a Ouija board. Say goodbye. Oh, come on. We love the Green Witch. I don't know what happened during the transition, but we love the Green Witch. Let me scream some more. Oh, come on. Look at that gargoyle. It's going to be in the show. Look at that, and you're going to go and you're going to see it. You're going to into it. Okay, this came from 1980. We remade it, reused it, and direct reference. It's going to be a beautiful 5x7 frame. You can put your scariest picture in it with a lantern. Thank you. Why am I? Oh, you know I love cockroaches. I was the one who brought cockroaches. Every year we sell 50,000 cockroaches at Knott's Berry Farm. And I only buy 10,000, but we sell 50,000. That's all right. Why am I screaming? Anyway. Okay, there was a spider on the gate. We put the spider back on the gate. Oh, no, we didn't. We put it on a shirt. We didn't put it on a gate. Well, what did Ken not give you enough money? God damn. Come on, Ken. Ken can be such a cheap
They pay me in pie.
You know, those are our pumpkins. Maria was the queen of our pumpkins. She was like, no, it has to be our pumpkins. Those are our pumpkins on our shirt. You're not going to be seeing that in any of those other crappy parks. You know this is my only job I have left. Anyway. Oh, all over print. Oh, man. Oh, come on. It has a sew-in label. There is this guy, so every shirt like that is slightly different. It makes it a total collectible. And you know I love collectibles. Why? Because it's coming up. We're doing a legacy collection. You're going to the legacy store. Here's your legacy collection. It's glow in the dark. Maria is, we have black light all over her office. We don't know why, but we have black light all over her office. And we're always looking at black light. And we're always looking for reflective. Oh, you know what this is. They arrived yesterday. They arrived, did they not, Maria? They brought them over in that secret truck of theirs. Yes, they did. Damn UPS, it didn't happen. Strike, Leah, here we go. I don't want to get current. I can't see you anyway. Anyway. Oh, come on, you know I like... we did the coffin mug, we did a light up coffin ornament. Oh, come on. Drink, you know we love a drink cup. Okay, we have Sarah Marshall's original hat. We redid. I want to see it on most of your heads, that hat. We did another Cursed Pearl because we love to do the damn Cursed Pearl. So we did the Cursed Pearl again. We made a Department 56. But we are the largest dealer in Department 56 for 300 miles, ladies and gentlemen. So we did another piece. We did our 50th anniversary trip. Yes, it's dripping blood. You can put your finger on it, it'll just feel like your mama. Well, if she was bleeding. Anyway, let's keep going. Okay, so yes. Here we go. You know we love food in Knott's Berry Farm. I think Mr. Knott made something, I don't know, or the poison guy and he fell off the roof. Anyway, let's keep going. That's for Boysenberry Festival. I don't want to have any spoilers. Okay. Oh, look at that. Oh, you can drink that at night. Or Maria did it with the black light in her office. It was really, well, she was smoking at the time. Anyway, let's keep going. Oh, don't turn on her. This is Long Beach, not Stanton. Come on. Anyway, come on. Okay, Maria has it right there. Lift it up, Maria. Come give her a round of applause. And look at the lounge slide. I dare her to leave this room with that bag at this point. Because this is turning into a Stanton crowd. You're not getting out of here, lady. We did a crossbody bag, and the lantern. 100 iterations. You're walking around. You're lighting stuff up. Things come out of the walls for you with this. There's going to be a map. There's going to be the whole gig for this. This is a beautiful thing. We also made a collectible conductor, of course. Okay, Tiki mug from Tiki Farm, the crown jewel, San Luis Obispo. Yes, that's where they come from. Well, they kind of come from there. Anyway, that's our new 50th anniversary. We sold out of our first Tiki mug. This one, guaranteed sold out. This is no joke, ladies and gentlemen. No joke. Look, custom everything. Look at Maria and I did our jobs, damn it. Don't let them tell us they're right, Maria? Damn straight. Anyway, why am I swearing? Anyway, is there any children in here? It shouldn't be. It's Long Beach. There shouldn't be children in here. Hey, come on. Okay, I did 50 pins. 50 pins! I gave you 100 pins for the 100 years. You get 50! For Scary Farm. I can't show you all the pieces. That's why they're all blocked off, all really bad. I also made you a coffin pin, so you can basically put all your pins on it and put it. And you can glow in the dark, just like Maria does. It's a nice. I don't know what they're gonna look like, but it's up to you. Now, you two, you're all adults. You do what you want. So yes, we made 50. Now, they're all going to be, okay, I'm going to tell you one thing only. Extremely limited. You see that pin, you want that pin, you buy that pin! I go through all those pin things. I don't want to hear it! You know, so the thing is, I'll pin trade with you, but you're not going to like it. Let's put it that way. Anyway, but the thing is, I also did a cockroach pin because I could. Anyway, but we also did all the logos. I did all the logos. I did all the main things. Of course, these are only 20 of the ones I can show you because we can't show you all that we did yet. Well, that's just the way it is, lady. Anyway, I made a scary old lady. I made a game. Okay, you know the game that we did for, the Knott's Calico game that we did. That game just beat Cleveland-opoly. The game that beat Cleveland was our first game. This one's gonna go full sell. And is Elvira on it? Damn straight Elvira's on it. She cashed the check, as they say. But it's a great game. Look at that game. Oh, my mama would love it, but she's dead. Anyway, let's keep going. Why did you bring me there? We're doing this damn book. And you know what I did? I'm gonna do it. One of those pins is his book pin. One other fact, that book, the 40th anniversary book, is worth $148 on eBay right now. This book I produced, it's gonna do the same thing. Get his signature on it. We're gonna have his ass sitting in that thing until he sells all these goddamn books. This is Knott's Berry Farm, ladies and gentlemen. We gotta make some money. Come on! for my looks. All right, we created for you an exclusive Midsummer Scream shirt. If you use that QR code, you get to the $26.99 for the shirt. If you want it, you got it. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's what we've done for you. If you have any questions, don't beat me up. Don't touch that. Let her get out with that lounge fly thing.
Hey, just quickly, I just want to talk about the shirt just quickly. So Eddie Soto, who was a designer at Knott's and then went on to do a lot of great things for Imagineering, Walt Disney Imagineering. When he was at the park, he designed this art piece. This has never been used outside of the park, and so it's never been used, right? And so this is an original piece of Eddie Soto artwork on that t-shirt, and so we wanted to create something special for you here at Knott's, for Midsummer Scream. And so there you go. It's they're limited to...
I'll take the clicker back.
By the way...
Grab the clicker from my hand, Grasshopper. Thank you.
Yeah. Every lantern sold, $5 goes to helping Carl get into the home. So please, you see what we're up against, please.
It's gonna be soon.
Well, listen. Thank you very much for that, Carl. Now, Carl and Jeff have to run off and take care of some things, and we got to spin some things around here a little bit. So give it up for Carl and Jeff. Thank you so much for joining us. As I kind of mentioned at the top of this whole thing, I usually kind of narrow down as to how Not Scary Farm got started to one person, Larry Vincent, Sinister Seymour. Yeah. I didn't mention how or why that happened. I did state that Seymour was a famous television horror host here in Southern California in the early 1970s, and his shows really connected. Hello? Okay, there you go. Okay. His shows consisted of like B-horror movies, and Seymour would periodically interrupt the film and crack jokes about how terrible the movies are. He would affectionately refer to his viewers, his fans, as fringies, because they were on the fringe of lunacy for liking such terrible, trashy movies. Well, to promote his TV show, he took it out on the road and performed it live at local movie theaters here in Southern California. And really the format would be the same as his TV show, but in front of a live audience. So there'd be a horror movie up on the big screen, and Seymour would be there live and in person cracking jokes. He took that concept to some local theme parks here in Southern California, but the venues were not ideal. For example, Magic Mountain with their open-air outdoor theater during a daytime event didn't really kind of lend itself to the eerie environment that matched Sinister Seymour. And so Larry Vincent's manager, a person named Gary Blair, was in the process of looking for a new and improved venue and contacted Knott's Berry Farm and said, I understand you have the John Wayne Theater, which is now the Walter Knott Theater, and it's environmentally controlled. It's got a movie projector. Can we have Seymour perform there? Well, Knott's Berry Farm loved the idea and said, wait a minute. We'll build a Halloween event around Seymour, and that was the birth of Knott's Halloween Haunt, now Not Scary Farm, yes. To learn a little bit more about Larry Vincent and Seymour, it's our absolute honor and pleasure to introduce to you Larry Vincent's daughters. Please welcome Diane and Valerie Vincent.
Hello, Fringies!
We're so happy that you're here.
We're so excited to be here. This is awesome.
Hey, for folks who never got a chance to see Seymour's TV shows, can you talk a little bit about what they were and what Seymour was as a character?
Well, you touched on it a little bit, but
Great intro. Well, the show itself, as Ted was saying, was kind of a comedic take on really lousy movies, scary sci-fi and horror movies, and it was Seymour's opportunity to do some shtick, before commercial, and sometimes actually during the movie, he would pop up in the corner and make a joke, and I think that kind of gave birth to that later show,
Mystery Science
Theater.
So he turned the sound off and interjects himself and put in his own jokes. And he picked the worst films of the lot, you know, Attack of the Mushroom People, Leech Woman, you know, The Mummy's Tomb, Teenagers from Outer Space. Just pick the worst of the worst. And the worse they were, the better. And he would just, with shtick. And Seymour he was described as a cross between Dracula and Groucho Marx.
Love it.
Because he had the macabre thing going, you know. And by the way, the gauntness, that was all Dad's face. No makeup. He had a very
He looked like nobody else.
distinctive face. The sunken cheeks worked perfectly for his character. And he was funny, campy, shticky, a lot of gags, a lot of running gags. And he was a cult phenomenon. And had he lived past the age of 50, God knows what could have happened beyond the 5 years that he ran.
Yeah. Now, you know, you have your dad at home watching over homework or whatever, holidays or whatever, but then
He never did his homework.
Oh, okay.
Our homework.
Oh, your homework. And then you would see your dad as this character with his fans. What was it like for you to see your dad performing as this character, like at the parades, and see him interact with his various fans?
It was kind of surreal in a way, and because it was just our dad at work, basically. And I think seeing him with fans, it really kind of sunk in that he was a celebrity, and that kind of hit home. Like it was just kind of surreal, but on the other hand, it was just like sort of our dad going to work.
Yeah, going to work, and we grew up with him as a performer and an actor, and he had a show in Indianapolis, a children's. He hosted Three Stooges cartoons. We had another character called Cat and Star. So we grew up with him as an actor, and the celebrity part of it was just kind of a normal progression of what we knew. It was like your dad, if he was a banker, that was our dad, and we were. But as Val's saying, as this character Seymour grew and grew and grew, it was pretty awesome to observe that and to witness that.
I love
It's
it.
like a rock star, you know? It's like a big rock star.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Now, the five of us got to go to Knott's Scary Farm together this past season. We had a good time. And you saw all the different mazes. We took you to the stage that your dad performed on and all that stuff. I mean, just generally kind of speaking, if you think, you know, it could project like your dad kind of looking down on all of this and all the thousands of people that flock to this event every season and celebrate, what do you think he would think about it or say about it?
Well, here's what I think Seymour would say. He would say, I can't believe after 50 years you dummies still fall for all this garbage. That's what Seymour would say. Larry
would probably be completely awestruck and blown away, and I think he would be very grateful, and he would just say thank you.
Yes, he would. And he would quickly follow that up with, all right, now, who's going to pay the goddamn valet parking?
Exactly.
That's what he would say.
Exactly. That's awesome. Well, you know, unfortunately, a lot of the footage of Seymour's TV shows didn't really survive. I mean, there's a handful of, like, on YouTube clips and stuff, and
Very
there's
little.
but there's very little. They destroyed that film.
They take over it every week, sadly.
And fortunately for the purposes for Knott's Scary Farm, there's the handful of Knott's Berry Farm photos, the promotional photos he took that first year. But, you know, I've been involved with this event for a long time. Ken, John, you've been involved for a long time. None of us on this stage have ever seen any video footage of Seymour performing at Knott's Scary Farm.
Well, that.
Until now. Until now. Listen. Huge shout out to a wonderful Knott's Berry Farm employee named Rob Perez, who uncovered this incredible gem. As well as Jason Soyster at Cedar Fair and the wonderful folks at the Knott's Berry Farm marketing department to help us get this digitized and preserved, so that way we can share it and debut it all to you right now here at Midsummer Scream. So We're going to dive right into it. You'll see, I'll tell you right now, this is by far the rarest Not Scary Farm video footage I've ever seen in my life. It's not a long clip, it's short, the quality's not the greatest, but it's what we've got. And you'll see it's not just Seymour. This is year 2, 1974 Seymour at Not Scary Farm.
Mr. Seymour. Yes, what is it? Mr. Seymour, master of the Knott, etc.
That's right, no autographs, please. I'm trying to do a show out here of sorts.
Well, I've got a delivery for you.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the folks at Knott's Berry Farm want to show their appreciation to you for coming back to the John Wayne Theater this year, so they sent over one of their famous chicken dinners.
Isn't that nice? Let me have that. Well, that's beautiful. A little chicky dinner from Knott's Berry Farm. Let's take that. Holy man. If there's anybody that can kill 10 minutes, it's Chuck Jones, ladies and gentlemen. Let's hear it for Chuck Jones. Take it away, Chucker.
Fantastic. I know we're running late here, so we got to wrap things up. But now that we've learned a little bit about Seymour, there is something that we did want to mention. It's no secret to anybody in this room that there'll be some sort of tribute attraction at Knott's Scary Farm for the 50th. I mean, for crying out loud, if you were born and old enough to go to Knott's Scary Farm in 1997, you probably went through the 25th Shiver anniversary tribute that they did. And it was kind of a hodgepodge of different themes, but we were kind of looking at trying to do something that had a little more narrative cohesion, because when you have parts of past attractions all jammed together in one location with themes that don't really have to do with each other, well, we needed to find a way to pull that together. So John, Ken, and I, as we were kind of developing this, thought, well, what if we had some sort of host who could help pull that together, who could inform the guests as to what they're seeing when they're going through this thing. That way, for people who never went through the original attractions, well, now they're at least informed. And so we kind of like that idea. We certainly appreciate the important symbolism between Seymour and the birth of Knott's Scary Farm. But in talking with Diane and Valerie, I mean, none of us on this stage were interested in recasting, because there's never going to be another Larry Vincent Seymour. But we thought, well, since this attraction is about tributes in general, we thought, well, what if we created our own tribute to Seymour as a new character inspired by Seymour, who could stand on its own as a creepy, scary icon that would read to a modern audience who has no idea who Seymour was. But if you know who Seymour is, you would see that connection. And so what if we leaned more toward the sinister side of Seymour, more toward the macabre side of Seymour? And well, what we came up with for this host is a new character we have named the Keeper. Yes. And the Keeper watches over the past haunts of Knott's Scary Farm, keeps them locked up and stored away within the confines of what this attraction is. You'll find out about that attraction later on, but for now, with a few very important words, it's our pleasure to introduce to you, for the first time ever, live and in person, the Keeper.
Hiya, friendies. I'm here to tell you about a spine-tingling event at Knott's Berry Farm, Thursday, August 24th. That's right. This opportunity gives you a sneak peek at the horror that waits for you at the 50th anniversary of Knott's Scary Farm. New blood-curdling mazes, sinister scare zones, and ghoulish shows here for you that night. And listen here, friendies. Tickets go on sale. Wait for it. Wait for it. Monday morning at 10 a.m. exclusively at Knotts.com. Of course. But listen, I know you Scary Farm fanatics like a little trick or treat, don't you? What do you think if I have a sneak peek for you of the 50th anniversary of Knott's Scary Farm? Shall we peel back the veil, unearth some footage, maybe even creak open a casket door? Shall we? Then maestro, if you please.
Greetings and salutations from Knott's Scary Farm, where we're celebrating 50 years of never-ending nightmares. And not with a slice of cake, no, with 10 frightening mazes, 5 sinister scare zones, 4 hair-raising shows, plus so much more that we're dying to tell you about. Why don't you join us for a kickoff announcement event celebration by little creepies on Thursday, August 24th at 7 p.m. to learn all about what is waiting for you here in the fog at Knott Scary Farm. Purchase your tickets starting on Monday, July 31st at 10 a.m. Have you reserved your nightmares yet? Nightly event tickets and packages are available now at NottScaryFarm.com.
What do you think about that, you groovy ghoulies? For now, head over to the Midsummer Scream Knott Scary Farm booth for an unfriendly meet and greet with me and some of my rotten fiends. We're dying to meet you, fringies. Until then, good riddance and bad night.
Thanks, everybody. We're going to be over at the Midsummer Scream Knott Scary Farm booth. Halloween. Have a good